The city of Joplin hires a cybersecurity firm to investigate an internet service interruption. Cherokee and Crawford counties in Kansas see rapidly rising COVID cases.
President Biden addresses the nearly complete U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'm Natalie Brand with why there are still grave concerns about instability in the region.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The city of Joplin hires a cybersecurity firm to help with what they're now calling a network security incident. This is KOAM News at 5. The incident has left city offices without internet access. That means city services that are carried out online, like bill payments, are unavailable. 911 and the airport are not affected. We asked the city whether personal information submitted during online payments was involved. The city says it is investigating that. COVID-19 infections in southeast Kansas increased, with the New York Times calling Crawford and Cherokee counties two of the state's most dangerous places to be unvaccinated. In Crawford County, there have been 61 new cases so far this week, and there have been 5 deaths in the last 10 days. At Pittsburgh's Ascension Via Christi Hospital, 8 people are hospitalized with COVID, and hospital officials say there's been an appreciable increase in COVID patients in the ER.
We have our negative air machines in place. We have all the isolation things put in place. And we went back to that surge plan of having that amount of patients, being ready for that amount of patients, making sure we have all the PPE that we need, all the ventilators that we need, and everything in place for a surge.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more about what's being done to fight a spike in cases and what officials want to see happen now. The Crosslands family of Crossland Construction has purchased Pittsburgh's Pittsco Education. Pittsco Education has been operating in Pittsburgh for 50 years. The Crossland family says they won't be making any changes to staff or production.
And so knowing what we've done and the success we've had for 50 years, we know that Crossland is a company that's committed to growth. And so that's exciting, and we're going to be part of that growth of Pittsco going forward. Not that I think I'll be here for the next 50 years, but it's exciting to know that we have a bright future ahead.
Pittsco also recently entered a partnership with TTS International, which supplies early learning products and activities. Doug Hetty, pretty nice day out there.
Yeah, not a bad day at all for us today. We've had partly to mostly sunny skies across the region. No rain really in sight. You have to travel to our south down across parts of Arkansas before you find any showers or thunderstorms. Of course, it's still warm, anywhere from low 80s upwards to upper 80s in our southwestern counties, but at least the humidity isn't too bad. It's lower than what we had yesterday, so heat indices upper 80s to near 90 degrees, but it does look like those are going to pop right back up the next couple days. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 80s, 70s. Most of us will bottom out near 70 degrees a little bit later on tonight. We do have some thunderstorm chances in the forecast, so we're going to look at that coming up here in just a bit.
See you then. The search for survivors from the condo collapse in Surfside, Florida is officially over. The search was paused last night to hold a moment of silence for those who have been lost. Rescue workers who've been searching nonstop for 2 weeks lined up to pay their respects. Their mission now is to recover bodies. They've recovered 54 bodies so far. Up to 86 people are still missing. President Biden says it's now time for the people of Afghanistan to determine their own future. After meeting with his national security team, the commander-in-chief laid out next steps in the continued U.S. military pullout after 20 years of conflict in America's longest war. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
President Biden says the U.S. is on track to end military operations in Afghanistan by the end of August.
I will not send another generation of Americans to war in Afghanistan with no reasonable expectation of achieving a different outcome.
The Pentagon has said the withdrawal is more than 90% complete, but several hundred troops will stay as a residual force to provide security to the U.S. Embassy in Kabul.
We're not going to have a mission accomplished moment in this regard.
Thousands of Afghans who worked with U.S. forces, including translators, now face risk in their home country. The Biden administration says it's working to expedite visas and relocate them.
There is a home for you in the United States if you so choose, and we will stand with you just as you stood with us.
The U.S. pullout coincides with a surge in violence in Afghanistan, and it comes amid fears of a civil war in the region. Taliban fighters are advancing in northern parts of the country, triggering setbacks for Afghan forces.
Is the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No.
During a White House visit from Afghanistan's president last month, President Biden pledged continued humanitarian and economic help. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
When asked if he trusted the Taliban, President Biden also said no, adding that he does trust the competence of the Afghan military. Speaking at her alma mater, Howard University, Vice President Kamala Harris announced a $25 million expansion of the Democratic National Committee's initiative countering efforts to make voting more difficult. Both the Vice President and President Biden are also meeting privately with leaders of several civil rights organizations to highlight their push to expand voting rights. The push is in response to efforts in several states to enact new voting restrictions to prevent voter fraud. Japan's Prime Minister has declared a state of emergency in Tokyo, which will run through the Olympic Games. The Delta variant is driving a rapid spread of coronavirus infections in the capital as the July 23rd opening ceremony edges closer. Organizers have also decided to ban fans from the events. Olympic organizers say they expect more than 80% of athletes will be vaccinated before the Olympics kick off 2 weeks from tomorrow. Haitian officials say 6 men have been arrested for suspected involvement in the assassination of Haiti's president early yesterday morning. 2 of the men are believed to be Haitian Americans, one of them purportedly a former bodyguard at the Canadian Embassy in Port-au-Prince. 7 other suspected assailants were killed and 2 are still missing. Still ahead, changes to the dating industry.
Singles are hitting the dating scene again. I'm Elise Preston with how looking for love is going to look a lot different after lockdown.
And next in Health Watch, how the pandemic led to higher rates of nearsightedness in kids. Topping today's Health Watch, University of South Florida researchers say 3 nights of bad sleep can take an overall bad toll on you and your body and in your emotional outlook. The sleep studiers analyzed 2,000 adults in good health. Overall adverse health symptoms included anger, nervousness, and irritability, as well as physical speech, respiratory issues, stomach problems, aches, and pain. The researchers said the bad symptoms jump is worse from day 1 to day 2. A decent night's sleep is recommended 6 to 8 hours nightly. Nearsightedness, also called myopia, is on the rise in kids. Many experts say more time in front of screens and less time outdoors is to blame for this trend, and the COVID pandemic may have added to the already growing problem. The COVID quarantine has meant isolation and boredom for kids, and this is a familiar scene for many families.
Every time I see them, they're either on the phone or on their computer.
But all that screen time may be leading to more cases of nearsightedness. That's when you can see things up close but not far away. In the U.S., only 25% of the population suffered from nearsightedness in the 70s. Today, it's 42%. Experts say one big reason is kids are getting less natural sunlight. Focusing your eyes in the daylight can delay the onset of nearsightedness, and the blue light from screens can cause another problem that doctors call digital eye strain.
So what's that? Vision becomes blurry. Eyes become fatigued, sometimes red. It's very frequent to start getting headaches.
A Canadian study revealed that during the COVID lockdown, 8-year-olds spent an average of more than 5 hours a day in front of screens for fun, with more screen time needed for school. Experts say try the 20-20-20 practice with your kids. That means you take regular breaks every 20 minutes to look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds, and encourage kids to play outside as much as possible. The World Health Organization estimates that half the world's population may be myopic by the year 2050. A new study in the journal Neurology suggests following a keto diet, low in carbs and rich in fat, may be beneficial for people with certain brain tumors. Researchers found a majority of participants who followed the diet reached a level where their bodies were primarily using fats and protein for fuel, rather than carbs, which cancer cells rely on to grow. Mosquitoes can not only be annoying, they can also pose a threat to our pets. Veterinarians warn that mosquitoes can carry heartworms, which can potentially be fatal in dogs and cats. Heartworms can cause lung damage and heart failure. Vets warn prevention is key. Some prevention options vary from shots, collars, or oral medications. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the Labor Department releases its latest weekly unemployment report.
Plus more thunderstorms popping up over the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up next. Well, of course, another hot one for us today. At least the humidity is a little bit better than what we saw yesterday, but it's still muggy outside, and we're going to see actually the humidity increase again as we head into Friday. Temps over the past couple days pretty steady. Most of us have been topping out into the upper 80s, but again, at least the humidity a little bit better for us during the afternoon hours. Temperatures right now 82 in Nevada, 86 in Carthage, 87 in Anderson. We can go into Oklahoma, 88 in Veneta, Miami, 87. Then on the Kansas side, Pittsburgh 84, Chanute is sitting at 89 degrees, so a little bit hotter in our western counties, and our humidity is not quite as high as what we did have yesterday. Our dew points are mainly sitting mid to upper 60s. So if we look at our dew point scale, we're kind of in that sticky to muggy range, but yesterday we were a little bit closer to that soupy range. So we do have heat indices, which it makes it feel like on your skin outside, upper 80s to lower 90s across the region. Currently though, we look pretty good, mostly clear skies, sitting at 86. Feels like 89, humidity is at 53%, that's your relative humidity. As we go through the evening hours, we drop back through the 80s, 70s, and then eventually we bottom out near 70 a little bit later on tonight. Nothing's going on though here. We have clear skies across the region. We do have some thunderstorms just to our south. We're on the north side of a front, so we have kind of light northerly winds. And then where that front is, down toward Fort Smith, northern parts of Arkansas, that's where we're seeing a few afternoon thunderstorms popping up. These will stay to our south. We don't have to worry about those in our neck of the woods. Besides that, not too much is going on here. We can jump east. We still have Tropical Storm Elsa, which is wrapping up the eastern seaboard, pushing into eastern parts of Virginia. Then out to the west, we have a wave in Montana and a very tiny little spin just off the coast of Washington. Those are our next waves, which are going to affect us by the time we head into the weekend. Until then, we look okay. We drop back near 70 tonight. Southerly winds return, and that's going to help us heat up more for us tomorrow. So as we go into Friday afternoon, we're going to bounce into lower 90s for highs, a little bit hotter than what we have seen over the past couple days. 69 to start, 85 by noon, high temp at 92. There is a very, very slight chance, mainly our eastern counties, that there could be a random pop-up storm. Most of us will stay dry. Tomorrow night looks okay, but by Saturday morning, we're going to watch some scattered thunderstorms try to push through the area. Then as we get into the afternoon hours, we'll most likely get a complex of thunderstorms. They will get going out across southeastern Kansas and then drive through as we go into Saturday night. Some of those storms could be strong, possibly severe, so something we want to watch as we go into Saturday. This is all due to this upper level low, which is just kind of spinning right in northern parts of Missouri as we head into Sunday and also into Monday. It slowly pushes east, so it's going to keep chances for scattered thunderstorms around for about 2 or 3 days, and then we'll start to dry out a little bit by the time we head into early next week. So 92 tomorrow, 88 Saturday, 81 on Sunday, scattered thunderstorms over the weekend, and then we heat right back up for the middle of next week. Chances for thunderstorms Wednesday and Thursday.
81 is a high on Sunday. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Thanks, Chuck. Coming up, how the dating scene has changed since lockdowns have been lifted. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Nick Chubb served in the U.S. Army in 2005 and 2006. The Independence, Kansas native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Sergeant Nick Chubb, a four-state hero. Top in Consumer Watch, slightly more Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week. According to the Labor Department, first-time filings for weekly jobless claims ticked up to 373,000. That was more than expected. Keep in mind the previous week's level marked a pandemic-era low. The number of available jobs now stands at a record high, while a record number of people quit their jobs this spring. According to the Labor Department, the number of available jobs in May rose to 9.2 million. That's up from April. Meanwhile, the number of people who quit their jobs totaled 4 million. That's a signal that workers see the job market working in their favor. The pandemic transformed many things, including the world of dating, and some of those changes may stick around, even for those looking for love come out of the lockdown. Elise Preston reports.
Now that most pandemic restrictions have lifted in the U.S., singles, including 22-year-old Nicole, are embracing the dating scene.
I think Hot Girl Summer is in full swing, and I'm happy to be here.
During the pandemic, a lot of singles turned to online dating apps.
It's like some people I met in person, other people I would just be like talking through the apps and then like Zoom and whatnot.
The popular dating app Hinge says dates on its site were up 14% in 2020. More than 40% of all Hinge users have been on virtual dates, and 65% want to continue using video chats in their dating lives after the pandemic.
That's because they felt really safe. They could do it from their comfort of their home, and it's this low pressure vibe check. It's a chance to say, are we a good match before we meet up in person?
75% of Hinge users say they are looking for a relationship this summer, but just over half also say they have a fear of dating again.
People want to meet someone, but they're also experiencing social anxiety about their rusty dating skills and even maybe being in public on a date.
People have different levels of comfort with what they want to do on dates now. So certain people don't want to go to concerts yet or go to baseball games. So making sure that people are really clear with what you want to do on a date is really important.
And finding the right person may be easier if you are vaccinated. Hinge says users who say they're vaccinated are getting 30% more matches. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Hinge also suggests users be upfront on their profiles about what they want, adding people who say they want a committed relationship get 17% more responses from people who want that and 10% less from people who only want something casual. More Americans are struggling to make ends meet. According to business.org, credit card debt has increased for 62% of borrowers since the beginning of the pandemic. More than half say they increased their credit limits to support growing spending habits. And 25% of Americans say they're worried about making their next credit card payment. The average cost of groceries now stands just above $355 a month per person, according to move.org. That means a two-person household can easily spend more than $700 a month on food. Add a child and that figure spikes. The state with the highest grocery bill is Hawaii. New Hampshire has the cheapest. And we'll be right back. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about how the Cherokee and Crawford County Health Departments are trying to combat a rise in COVID cases. Plus, Freeman pediatricians urge parents to take advantage of back-to-school vaccine clinic. And Missouri Governor Mike Parson says he doesn't want government employees to promote vaccines door to door. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. An animal drawing by Leonardo da Vinci goes up for auction in London. The small drawing, known as Head of a Bear, could sell at a record-setting $16.7 million. The drawing is just under 3 inches on a pink beige piece of paper and is one of fewer than 8 surviving drawings by the Renaissance legend that is still in private hands. That rare piece went on display in May in New York. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. Remember, we're always on at KOAMnews.com and with the KOAM News Now app. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.